back to Cars of Glasgow, and today we're going to be taking a look at the 2016 Porsche Cayenne S diesel, so stay tuned for this video. So here we have the second generation facelifted model of the Porsche Cayenne, a very popular model within the Porsche lineup. This particular car is the Cayenne S, as I mentioned, but it means it's equipped with a 4.2 litre V8 diesel. And this particular one's also been fitted with the 21-inch alloy wheels, which I think are pretty aggressive. You can see those Pirelli tyres. The car has been valeted, so it's very shiny and clean for us this morning. Love those aggressive alloy wheels. And anybody who's not sure or unaware, the Porsche Cayenne is actually designed to look like a 911 on stilts. So that's why the first one had those kind of fried egg style headlights at the Boxster in the 911 of the era, and this one's been sleeker and more rounded off. Move around to the back, I really like the facelift, the fact that it kind of tapers in the rear tail lights, a little bit more of a sleek look, and when these light up you get a little strip here. In typical Porsche fashion, we've got Porsche spelled out at the back, and we've got Cayenne S, which I think is a pretty neat look. Interesting, that's the first car to be named after an ingredient, if anybody's curious. This particular car's also got quad exhausts to help let that V8 breathe. Again, a very aggressive rear end, hinting towards the sporting credentials of this SUV. And if I get the key out, it also looks like a mini Porsche, almost like a Panamera. Hold the button at the bottom, and the boot opens up electrically. As you can see, you've got a nice flat load floor, a little bit of a scuff plate here in metal. Lift this up for one of those spare tyres that you pump up, and as you can see, tie down hooks at all four corners. A really decent size, and it's a little thing like Porsche might not recognise or remember to notice, is little brushes up here in the hinges up there. It's these little details you pay for in a car like the Porsche. This car's got the air suspension, so at a touch of a button you can raise and lower the car. It makes it easy to get in and out, to get shopping and things like that. And again, the boot's electrically closed at a touch of a button. Move right into the inside of the car. If you can have a quick look at that paint, it's kind of like a metallic black. Pretty fancy. I'll get the name of that paint and I'll put that in the description. So this car's fitted with over £17,000 worth of extras, which means it was just under £80,000 when new in 2016. So the car's got all this leather, memory seating, electric wing mirrors, your boot release, door release, and everything you touch is of high quality material. We've got nice Bose speakers, deep door bins, even down here is kind of like rubberized leather, all that's leather wrapped. I quite like the fact we've even got a portion embossed into the carpet, and we've got Cayenne S sill plates, not just a Cayenne. Here you've got your electric seating. As you can see, there's so many things to adjust. Won't go through them all, but being a high-end sports SUV, didn't expect that. Also quite like the way the door handles are styled, something a little bit different. So all Porsche cars, ignition's on the right there. Turn once to get the accessories on.
Little angel, you will always be in our hearts.
Let's get the wipers on once to let it defrost. As you can see, again a Porsche trait, we've got a tachometer on the front there, we've got a little map on the right, your temperature gauge and your fuel gauge again on the right, and on the left hand side you've got your speedometer and other things like your oil temperature up there. Also like the fact you've got a little digital display as well for your speed in front. Nice little touch. And again, the overall quality in this car is top notch. As you can see, everything's leather wrapped, even the steering wheel, top of the dash, all softly padded, very very premium inside. And being this kind of off-roader SUV style car, nice big grab handles, and this is from the generation where Porsche were giving us buttons for the functions. So you've got all your off-road buttons down here, height adjustment for the car. Climate control vents, climate temperature, touchscreen up here, but as you see everything's quite button heavy, which can be, some people dislike, some people prefer the new button setup in the kind of gloss black. plastic haptic feedback buttons. I quite like the fact you touch a button, you get everything accessed what you want without having to go through menus. The Porsche steering wheel, very sports car like. I like the fact it's got a lot of hollow bits through it. A little scroll wheel here on the right, scroll wheel on the left, cruise control down here on the left. It's the horn, big Porsche badge staring at you in front of your face. This particular car is fitted with the panoramic roof. It's great for kids in the back, it lets in so much light, and it's a bit rainy, but you just touch the buttons up here to slide that back and forth. And then touch a button, look at this huge sunshade, so if you don't want that, you can go away for a sunny day, but being in Scotland, I think you're going to want to maximise what little light we have in summer and winter even. So go ahead and start the car up. That 4.2 litre V8 comes to life. So down on the right here is where your light controls are. Wee auto light in red, you can pull them out for fog, just like a Volkswagen Audi product. Got a parking brake, touch a button there, pull out to let it go, like so. Wouldn't be a CarsofGlasgow review without looking at the glove box. As we can see, softly damped, leather lined, even a metallic finish. Handle there, lined with fuzzy stuff. Quite small for an SUV I would say, but at least you've got enough room for a little bit of storage and your glove, your logbook. Quite like this kind of black gloss trim. Quite a modern feature with the kind of little bits of silver. Very Porsche design. If you've seen any of their Porsche design kettles and anything like that, that's what they've got going on in their domestic appliances. The seats themselves are covered in this high quality leather, very supple and soft as you can see. And the leather extends all throughout the cabin. Hardly any bad plastics in the car. And as I mentioned, they're all electrically adjustable, and it's just super soft and comfortable in this car. You wouldn't have any problems. Up here we've got your little lighting, as you can see, little LEDs. Touch of a button, it all lights up. Almost like a restaurant or bar there, if you have to see how that looks again. Pretty nice. Sun visor with a little light there, kind of getting subtle light. Very nice. And being a Porsche, I've also got one but two sun visors if you're in America or somewhere long drive, straight roads. That wouldn't be an issue because you can do that on both sides if you wanted. You could have 4 sun visors down. Quite a neat feature. This Porsche goes through the automatic transmission. Back one's for reverse. Camera pops up. All the way down for drive. And left for sports mode. We'll get that into the driving portion of this car. As you can see, it even says Cayenne down there to remind what car you're in. There's a little lever behind there, almost like a Super Rangers, Power Rangers helmet even. I think that's what design reminds me of. And the centre console here, pretty cool. Lift this up, slides back and forwards if you want to hide your cup holders. You can also lift this silver lever, lift up to reveal a little velvet kind of area, lined with the fuzzy stuff. Power outlet there, aux cable, USB cable, all for your phone, can sit in there happily and play your music. Speaking of music, if we turn the volume up, pretty good sound system with the Bose coming through the speakers there. And for anybody wondering, I'm 5'11", plenty of headroom, definitely plenty of knee room, and very comfortable. In this kind of car being almost a full-size SUV, one that is the largest Porsche SUV they make, obviously you're going to be comfortable in this car regardless if you're 6 foot plus, and definitely plenty of adjustment as well. One thing I did notice, underneath is how you can adjust the steering wheel, so there's a little button under there, as you can see, adjust up and down like so. Jump into the back of the car. As you can see immediately, you're greeted with a multitude of speakers, in fact the Bose sound system. Again, super high-end quality product at the back of the door, all used throughout the car. The cool funky door handle, leather everywhere, even a little bit of storage there. If you wanted to smoke in the back, all these little soft features. I quite like the fact you've got little silver bits on the grille here for the music speaker, and again this is lined with the fuzzy stuff in there to prevent anything from making a rattly noise, and it's all super rubberized and soft. In the back, as you can see, seating for free, a little bit of a transmission hump in the rear. The definitely 2 abreast is going to be comfortable. A little bit netting there to put your iPad or a map. Also got some room if you pull down this armrest here. Trying to do it with one hand while holding the camera. There we go, it reveals 2 cup holders. And in the back we've even got rear heated seating, so you can keep your friends and family in the back all nice and warm on a cold day, which is a nice touch. And again the rail is super soft and of a nice high quality. If you want to slide it back and forward, there's a little bar under here. Depends if you want more leg room or more boot room, so that's quite handy. And again, view from the front, you can see gorgeous cabin and that gorgeous panoramic sunroof. Anybody interested, touch of a button opens your fuel filler cap. Go ahead and open the bonnet. I quite like the fact the headlights are carved around like this, and it is almost reminiscent of a 911 the way the bonnet's designed in tapers at the front. And everything you really need to do, everything's covered in plastic, but everything you'd interact with, like your battery, your terminals and your fluids, are all easy to locate. As you can see, there's that big powerful V8 diesel. This engine actually makes more torque than the Turbo S Cayenne, which is pretty impressive. And this engine produces 385 horsepower that gets this massive car 0 to 60 in 5.4 seconds. Pretty impressive. So you join me inside the Cayenne, put it into drive, and let's head off. It's mostly apparent straight away. You can feel the torque of this car, a very powerful car indeed. It's got just that instant torque, even just moving off the line. Hear a little bit of that diesel rattle coming through. Obviously the audio's off at the moment just because of any copyright music. Like all SUVs of this size, I quite like the fact you're sitting up high, got a nice driving position, nice view out front, got that Porsche badge staring at you in the face. Put the foot down, throws you back in the seat. Pretty impressive actually, bit of smell in my face this morning. Let's go down this country road down the side here. Brakes are pretty sharp, pretty linear and responsive. Very flat handling, especially in comparison to my RX. Obviously that was 15 years old, it was a bit of a roly-poly ride. Put the foot down, and that's already doing the speed limit, which is pretty impressive. Quite like the fact you've got the little map on the instrument dial pod, kind of showing you the kind of direction of travel where you're going, what's coming up. I'm always a fan of having the sat nav kind of map on a car, and I quite like the fact you can just look down and it's there. And this is obviously the last generation from the current one with the digital dash, so that's pretty impressive. Even in these 21-inch wheels, the car's riding pretty well. I think it's probably thanks down to the rear suspension. It's riding pretty smooth. I just putting the foot down, just having that torque there, it's pretty good. Definitely putting a smile on my face. It's very, very responsive, this car. You can see why people are Porsche fanatics or Porsche fanatics. You can just trundle along this B road at 55 miles per hour. Got a little Q3 behind me, which is funny to see. It's quite low down, quite small, but it's right up behind me, which is less than desired. Maybe you guys can see me in the background there with Stirling Castle, which is also pretty nice scenery. Not every city has that, but I quite admire when you come up to Stirling and you get to see Stirling Castle. I can see this car being an ideal daily car if you can afford it. And obviously with a Porsche you're going to have high running costs. This car is in the highest tax bracket, which is I think £560 for a VAT or road tax in the UK at the moment, which is less than ideal, but all these kind of big SUVs are. most people are probably going to be shopping or looking for the 3 litre diesel that's in the Touareg, the Cayenne and the Q7, but honestly the V8 in this is just something special. Put the foot down and it just goes. I like how kind of direct the steering is, and although it doesn't feel like a 911, which maybe was the point of this because they're very flat and very driver focused, it's one of the best handling SUVs I've driven. In comparison to something like a Range Rover that I've driven maybe about a month ago, that was very good visibility, almost a lot of greenhouse you can see, and you can place the car because it's quite boxy, you can see the bonnet, whereas in this car it slopes down at the front, but kind of slightly different cars. That's more a serious off-roader. This can go off-road, there's plenty of YouTube videos of people off-roading Cayennes, but honestly this is a really great driving car. So now at a junction we're going to pull out and test this on almost 0 to 60 if we can. Whoa. New RS6 just went past there. Probably missed it in the camera, but yeah, that's cool. Just setting the cruise control there. Touch that button in, push it back. We can set at 55 all the way up to Stirling Castle now. But yeah, that was pretty impressive. Let's put a bit more down. Outward visibility is good, A-pillars aren't bad. C-pillars are a little bit thick back there. But I guess you could probably get blind spot monitoring if you wanted, or just check your weather's extra careful if you're obviously overtaking. But yeah, that's probably the only thing I would say about this car is the C-pillars looking back. B-pillars are totally fine, wing mirrors are a good size, even though they're kind of curved round, they're not squared off in most SUVs, they're still pretty decent. I've got the heated seat on full blast and I'm telling you that's so nice, the seats are so well padded, comfortable, sitting in them, and that's just such a nice heat coming on me, it's so nice. Yes, I like that. Hopefully you guys can see Stirling Castle up in the left there. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. If you're looking at a Cayenne S, there really isn't too much on the market like it. Maybe an X5 or X6 40D with the kind of a little bit more power output, maybe an M50D. Mercedes-Benz offer a higher output GLE, which kind of would compete with this. Range Rover Sport, they do a V8, which is probably direct competitor to this at the moment. Nobody's doing diesel, so if you're wanting a brand new one of these, you're going to have to get a hybrid for the kind of power output. Just diesels and V8s just don't seem to be a common thing. But as if you can get this power output in a couple of products, probably direct competitors to Range Rover Sport. I quite like the layout of the Porsche. I think both brands have got strong kind of fan following, and if you're in Britain, it's almost sacrilege even to be a fan of anything other than a Land Rover, Range Rover. But if you want a driving dynamics, maybe a car that's a little bit more reliable than a Range Rover. People who've had this, and the previous owners of this car's actually had Land Rover Discoveries, which even when they were from new have had issues, so just had no issues with this at all over the time of ownership of this Cayenne S. And that's pretty something. Just these little niggly things, if you're a luxury car buyer, you're not wanting to run to a dealership every couple of months. If anybody's seen the Fastlane car, their new Defender, I think that's 200 miles and maybe that car's done and it's been in the garage. It's something like 10 days within the 14 days of ownership. If you check out their channel if you want to see something about reliability, but if you want something a bit more reliable than that British brand, Porsche is definitely the way to go. Definitely it's a lot bit more premium, especially inside with the build materials, than something like an Audi Q7, Mercedes GLE, BMW X5. I've driven the GLE and X5 and this drives a little bit more dynamically engaging. I've not drove an X5M or anything like that, so if you've got one of them, let me know. But yeah, I really like the V8 power in this, the space. All these cars give you practical space, but if you want a practical Porsche, this is the one for you. It's up high. Negatives for the car would be high running costs, the road tax, parts if something goes wrong. But if you keep the car well maintained, I don't see that being an issue. So I just want to say thanks very much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video on the Porsche Cayenne S. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel below, and I'll see you next video. Ciao!